sun is racing.
Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We have all your action from Richmond for the Federated Auto Parts 400. This is the race that Logano won and got it taken away from him for cheating. And now Logano sits on the outside of the playoffs, needing a win to get in, along with Dale Jr., Boyer, Eric Jones, and Suarez, who lost his sponsor because Subway got all butthurt this week about him giving out Dunkin' Donuts at 7 a.m. Come on, Subway. Nobody wants a cold cut combo for breakfast. Anywho, the stage breakdowns this week are at laps 100, laps 200, and then we race to the finish at lap 400.
Although Subway does have a decent breakfast if you've ever been. But interesting fact here, in the last 6 races at Richmond, the winners come from the top 5 in all 6 of those last races. 2 of those winners went 1-1. In 2014, it was Kez, and in 2015 was the ham-bone Denny Hamlin. The biggest fantasy performance during that period was Keselowski in 2014, going 1-1, leading 383 whopping laps, and Kenseth in 2015, where he started second and led a massive 352 laps.
Why, I do declare, Mr. Beauregard, that we should have a beautiful Virginia sunset and temperatures in the 60s when we go racing this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern on NBC Sports Network. All right, my cheesy Virginia accent aside, and apparently Liehr's attempt at being Andy Reid. Like, what are you, dude, an 80s police officer with that mustache?
I do declare.
As you guys can tell, we're repping our Chiefs. We're really pumped after the victory against the New England Patriots last night. What a win. Guys,
we all dream hunt on your fantasy football teams, because if you don't, it's too late.
Yeah, as he put up a 50 burger. Woo! 49.6 points. That's a nice start to the season for the rookie. Yeah. All right, kids. Before we get into racing action for this week, we have great news. We hit 1,000+ viewers, over 1,400 for last week, which means we're giving away a diecast, the Kevin Harvick autograph diecast. So what you're going to need to do for the diecast this week, you're going to need to like, be subscribed, share, comment on the page, and we want to do something special. For all of you guys that participated with us and donated to the Hurricane Harvey relief efforts, if you send either Jamie or I a personal message with a picture, a screenshot of your receipt from your donation, we'll give you an extra entry to win that car. Well, that way, everybody that donated to the Hurricane Harvey relief efforts gets an extra chance to win that Harvick autograph car to help raise money for Hurricane Harvey. So we're also going to include the link for to donate to Hurricane Harvey, so you can still do that in case you didn't last week, as we still need to raise money for those people affected by Hurricane Harvey. Now that we got all that house cleaning stuff out of the way, Liehr, I think it's time to burn some rubber. You ready?
I'm definitely ready, brother. But before we get started, best of luck to those that are in the path of Hurricane Irma. It seems like we just get one storm after another right now with the way that the seasons are changing. So I hope everybody is okay down there and survives. And, why don't you just do the smart thing and get out of there. And, possessions are possessions. Your life is your life. So, but I definitely want to send prayers and all those that are in the path of Irma as well. Rubber! Richmond Saturday night style, baby!
Wow, like you went from like preparing people for hurricanes right into the burning rubber, Liehr. All right, buddy. Who's your pick to burn some rubber for us this week?
Well, by the way, dude, nice call last week on Denny Hamlin, the ham bone, taking the as you're burning rubber, taking the victory.
He may have cheated, but he got it done.
The unencumbered double sweep of the weekend. By the way, I don't know if anybody saw that, but there was a tweet by Joe Gibbs who did you see that, by the way?
No, I missed it.
So it was Joe Gibbs. It looked like he was out of his office or something at the JGR garage, but there's a big window and he's got something on poster board where they put encumbered and they spelled it 4 different ways because they don't really know how to spell it. And it said, what? It says WTF is encumbered and spelled it 4 different times. So I thought that was pretty funny. But anyways, as far as my burning rubber pick this week, kind of hard to pick one, to be honest with you. Here at Richmond, if you look through the history, a lot of it is the guys that start in the top 5 usually are your dominators here. The guys that are towards the top of the sport are, again, starting from the top of the sport. We don't have any crazy big time, guys starting from the back this weekend. So again, it's going to make for some really, really fun fantasy teams. But I want to be going with the guy I'm actually, like normal, wear his hat. But going with Brett Keselowski this week in the number 2 team. Obviously, they've had a pretty good 2017 campaign with 2 wins under their belt, and they currently sit 5th in the driver standings. This week at Richmond, he comes back to a track where he has really good history here, some dominating performances. His most dominating, like we talked about in the intro, he led 383 laps back in 2014, going 1-1. In 16 starts here, he's got the 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. He has an average start here of 9.5 and an average finish of 14.2. So I know a lot of people will be like, well, Liehr, he obviously shows that he has a tendency of going backwards. But like this past spring race, he started 15th, and which he's going to be doing this weekend, tomorrow, starting 15th. He finished 2nd in the spring with 110 laps led, finishing 2nd and starting 15th. So that's pretty good prior race year for him this year. But his cost this week is $9,800. At his starting position, fantasy players may overlook him at most will be spending their money, their DraftKings dollars on, the higher guys of Larson, Kenseth, Hamlin, Truex Jr. starting 5th, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick starting 6th. I mean, there's a lot of guys to pick from that starting 7 spot. So I think that Kez, with his price and where he's starting, may get a little bit of an overlook. So by no means am I saying that Keselowski and the number 2 team are going to get the win this weekend. But his starting position and history, I feel that he's definitely going to get a top 5 finish and another one of the place differential and other dominator points that he will obtain this weekend. And I could even see him, getting out front and leading races here. This is just his type of track that he likes to race. So I definitely am going to be all about the number 2 Keselowski this weekend.
No, I get it as a place differential play and as a guy that can possibly dominate. The problem is that if you look at how they finished 1-2 here last in the spring, it was due to a pit strategy and to the better cars getting tangled up in some wrecks and hitting the wall. I would rather go a different route, especially, Logano looks so off this week. It's crazy. And to be honest, that paired with the fact that Kez is starting 15th just shows me that team's kind of off this weekend. And that's why I'm probably not going to own any of them. And instead, I'm going to put my weight behind my burning rubber pick in Matt Kenseth at $9K. He's the tough luck kid of NASCAR this year. And anybody that's watched the show knows that my relationship with Kenseth is very tough luck. The guy has cost me thousands upon thousands of dollars on both sides of the equation when I played him and when I didn't play him. But
I would say it is definitely volatile.
Yes. He's almost won several times this year, but he's also been caught in wrecks, and he's lost his ride for next year and doesn't have one even lined up. Currently, he's in the playoffs, but he needs to finish well to maintain his spot. I think Kenseth has an awesome history here that parallels his existence in NASCAR, right? A guy that should dominate and sometimes does, but for some reason isn't quite the guy you expect him to be and isn't what he should be. But I think he's going to get it done here in this race. In the spring, he sat on the pole and led 164 laps before contact messed up his day, causing him to finish 23rd and thus the Logano encumbered win. 2 years ago, he led 352 laps on the way to a win when he started on the front row like he is this week. Speaking of starting on the front row, I also want to play his teammate Hamlin at 10K. The cheaters on the top of the boards in the 10-lap averages, and it looks like his encumbered win isn't encumbering how fast he is on this track. Guys, I love JGR and their affiliates, so I also wouldn't count out Rowdy or Truex. They're super expensive this week, and it's going to cause you not to be able to jam in a lot of the drivers that you want, but they always have the potential to lead laps here. And as we said earlier, Jones and Suarez need a win to get in the playoffs. But in my personal opinion, this place is really tough for a rookie to get it done. Both could show up, but I wouldn't bank on it. Remember what happened to Jones here in the spring. He got into it early and ended up finishing 36th or 38th, somewhere in there. It was awful. So I would probably avoid the rookies here and spend the money on Hambone and Kenseth. That's just my play. Liehr, your thoughts on the JGR crew, essentially?
Yeah, as far as Kenseth, I mean, you got to have ownership on that guy. He always performs well here. This is one of his best tracks. 2 wins here. But again, I don't know, man. It's one of those where I definitely am going to have exposure on him. But I think a lot of people will say, well, just because he's starting on the pole, I'm going to have the last couple of Hamlin weeks, with Harvick and Jones. I know those were my 2 burning rubber guys, but I'm definitely going to have exposure on him. But I don't know. I see that he can possibly lead with the segments, 100, 200, and then to the finish. I could see him leading about 50 laps. In essence, I see him kind of falling back in the field is how the race is kind of playing out in my mind. So I'm definitely going to have some exposure. And he's at his price this week. What is it, 9,000? I mean, that's a huge bargain right there for a guy that has some really good stats here. I'm not feeling it on Kenseth, but I'm definitely liking the Hambone this weekend. I was going to think about taking him as my burning rubber, but, wanted to let Poppa talk about him because he's, part of the JGR brethren. No, I definitely love Hamlin this week. Coming off the encumbered wins last week, that should light a fire under that team and under his you-know-what to make him go out there and have a really big dominating performance. And, Kenseth is going to fight for it too because he wants to definitely solidify his spot in the playoffs. And I think something really drastic has to happen in order for that team, the 20 team, to not make it. So I think they're probably going to be pretty good because the guys after 16th are so many points behind. I'm definitely going to have exposure on Hamlin a lot more than I think on Kenseth this week. He is higher costing. I think it's $9,800. But in my opinion, I definitely like Hamlin at this type of track more than I do like Kenseth. But both of them this would be considered a short track, and they are both really, really good short track racers.
Yeah, I mean, Hamlin's 10K, and I really like him. You have to like a guy that's starting second and was fast as the 10-lap averages. Now, the one knock on Kenseth that I feel like I need to tell everybody is that he was slower in the 10-lap averages and in the single-lap averages in P1 and P2. But my argument is clearly they got that corrected for qualifying, and his teammate was on the top of the board. So I wouldn't worry about that or look too much into it. But I think that could tamper his ownership percentage a little bit and maybe pump Hamlin's. So if you want to go that route or maybe even play both of them, I don't have a problem with it. We're saving some money this week on our burning rubber picks. But if you want to spend up, or even if you just want to make a whole lineup of middle tier guys instead of reaching down into the super echelons of value, you're going to need to save some money. What's your value play this week, buddy? Well,
as far as the essence of our true meaning of what value means, like El Nino, I'm rolling with a guy that has been doing really, really good the last handful of races. But going to be going with Ryan Newman, number 31 RCR. They've had a pretty good 2017 in his standards by getting a win, obviously, under his belt and locking himself into the playoffs this season. So he's already got that solidified. But he's coming off of a nice performance last week at Darlington, where he started 17th and finished 7th to get 48 fantasy points for his place differential. This week at Richmond, he had a really poor qualifying run. He's starting 27th. He has some really good track history here in 31 starts for the number 31, with 1 win back in 2003, forever ago, 6 top 5s, 17 top 10s. And I don't usually go this high as far as the stats are concerned, but he has 28 out of 31 races, 28 top 20s with his late starting position is definitely a relevant stat here. That's 7 points of place differential there if he finishes 20th. His cost this week is really back down to where it should be. He was a little inflated last week, up in the 8,000s. Now he's back down to reality at 7,200. And RCR in general, I know Poppa's going to be talking a little bit about it, but RCR in general is a value play this week due to all of them and their starting high position. So, but plug in, play him. Newman's going to pay off for you this week. I just definitely am going to have a good amount of exposure on Newman. And I think a lot of the fantasy community will see it as well. Even, at 17, I think last week he had some pretty good exposure. So that car is definitely a top 20 car, even maybe top 15. I wouldn't be surprised, though, here if he actually scores a top 10 again this week with back-to-back weeks going top 10s.
No, dude, I agree with you on the Newman play. And I'm going to say, oh, yeah, it's time to play some Maverick and his little brother Iceman. That's right, Maverick Austin Dillon at 7,400 and his brother Iceman, also known as Ty Dillon, at 6,500. Look, kids, they start 30th and 31st this week. They should be cars that finish well in the teens or better. Austin Dillon has 3 consecutive finishes of 20th or better at Richmond. And Ty, in his lone finish here, finished 26th. Don't overthink this. All the RCR cars and their affiliates are in play for value. I mean, heck, even Menard starting 26th at 6,100 is also in play. All of these guys should finish right in the middle of the teens. That'll make them the place differential plays. Combine them with your dominators, and that should be fantasy NASCAR this week. That's the way it's breaking down for me. I love Iceman and Maverick this week. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely like them too. I mean, they don't have the best of history here. Austin Dillon's got an average start of 20th and an average finish of 22nd. And even last time here in the spring, they started 38th and finished 20th, so that was an 18-point place differential. But I don't know. What do you think their ownership percentages are going to be?
Well, I think it's going to be split. I think, in all honesty, probably Menard will carry the lowest just because he's the lesser known. And one other guy that people pay money for doesn't love Ty Dillon. Like, that guy loves Ty Dillon and all of his followers. So he'll probably be the most owned. I would guess Newman will be second, Austin Dillon third, most owned, and Menard fourth in that order. So if you want to get different, go towards the bottom. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think it's just going to be a combination of those guys and the top, how you build your lineup.
No, I'm definitely going to have some exposure on both of them. But if I had to make a decision based on all 4 of those cars, there's Austin Dillon's the most expensive of the 4, but I would definitely choose Newman at 7,200 when you got Austin Dillon at 7,400. I know it's only a $200 savings, but that can matter in getting a guy that you really want versus somebody that you're kind of about. So, but no, I think that they've obviously proven, both the Dillon boys here have proven that, they really don't have the best qualifying statistics here. Most of them their starts are in the 20s with, Ty Dillon only having the one race here under his belt, but I'm definitely going to have exposure on both. I just think they're both going to be really, really high owned guys, especially Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon. So I'm not probably going to take would you take a lineup with all 3 of those guys in your lineup?
I may already have one with all 3 of them in it.
Nice.
Quit telling people my stuff, Liehr.
Sorry, brother. But I don't think I'll be going that route myself this weekend. I'll be picking and choosing, especially too, though, when it comes to this is the last weekend for the qualifier. So it's our last chance to get into the qualifier this week. So I will be rolling in both of them, both qualifiers that they have. It's going to be one of those where you're going to have to pick and choose your battles on who you're going to take, but hopefully I make the right decision.
Yes, Liehr has gone all Smeagol this week. He's screaming, "Give it to me, my precious! Give it to
me!" Yes. Definitely doing that.
All right, man. We've got our value plays. We're going after it. Who are we sending to the garage? Who are you fading this week? Now, remember, kids, this is the segment of the show where sometimes we talk trash on a driver, sometimes we talk trash on NASCAR, sometimes we talk trash on DraftKings. It's whoever we're motivated given week. Liehr, I see you got a driver this week. Who are you talking trash on?
Man, it kind of pains me. Definitely painstakingly makes me sick when I have to say this. And also P. Dittis out there. I know it's going to make him sick too. But I'm going with number 24, Chase Elliott. Elliott is currently in the playoff hunt, but definitely needs a win to solidify his spot in the playoffs. I think with a good finish, he's definitely going to get his playoff spot. But also, he's got to finish really, really good. He does not have good track history here at Richmond this type of racetrack is just not his strongest type of racetrack that they race on the Monster Cup circuit. But in 4 races here, he's got 0 wins, 0 top 5s, 0 top 10s, with his highest finishing position of being 12th in 4 races. He starts tomorrow night in the 9th position and comes with a very, very hefty salary of $9,400. There is absolutely no way that Chase will accumulate enough fantasy points tomorrow night to make up for his salary. Where he starts is not going to make it happen for him. So the farther back he's going to go, I think, in my mind, during the duration of the race tomorrow, I think he's just going to go backwards. And even if he does finish where he starts at, that's still not going to be enough fantasy points accumulated for you at that price point of $9,400 to say, okay, Chase Elliott was the correct pick for my team. So my advice definitely this week is to avoid Chase Elliott tomorrow night. And unfortunately, he is driving the sweet Mountain Dew car.
Oh, I know. Why is it that, like, when they drive the sweet cars that you would want to be able to cheer for, from a fantasy perspective, you just can't play him? And I'm with you. Elliott is on that list with me. I don't see a way he pays off. I don't. That's not what that car does. Like, it is a bad spot for a driver I like and a car I want to root for this weekend.
Yeah,
the guy
he's just not that type of domination. He hasn't had it all year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what your thoughts or feelings are about it, but I think 2017 has been a pretty disappointing season as far as from wins and stage wins, and kind of where he's been at all year. I know he's in the chase, not the chase, but the playoffs. But I mean, I think it's been a disappointing season for him so far.
Well, dude, it's been a disappointing season for that entire organization.
Yeah.
Unless you include Kane's random win and the 2 Jimmy Johnson wins way early in the year. Like, that Hendrick has been off like all year, and it's just been a little disappointing.
And they are definitely going to be going through some changes going into 2018. So.
Yeah, things are going to get interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to stand, and I know I did this in the spring race here, so I'm going to double back, and I was so wrong in the spring race. Ricky to the garage again. I know I sent him in the spring, and he finished 4th when he started 4th and was on the winning lineup. But seriously, guys, come on. That wasn't supposed to happen. You know it. And it was a pit strategy that ended up panning out. But whatever. I'm following back. I'm following this play back up and telling you to fade Sticky Ricky. He's starting too high up. I don't see that car doing anything but falling backwards. Now, performing well this year and been a top 10 car at times. But he's starting top 10. I just don't think that's a position you want him in. He's going to be falling back. Guys, I don't think this is going to be a Sunny D gut rot problem. I think, however, you are going to need one of the Fastenal ladders to climb out of the hole that he's going to create for you fantasy-wise if you roster him. See what I did there with this sponsor? Yeah.
Like it, my man. Like it. I'm actually kind of torn on this play. I actually will probably have some exposure on Ricky Stenhouse being 7,000.
No, for sure.
That's definitely a bargain for a guy that's starting in the top 10, even if he does finish there at that price point. That is definitely some value for you there. But Poppa is correct. He doesn't have the best of history here at Richmond. He's raced here 9 times, and then his only top 5 is the one that he got in the spring, which, like he said, it was based on a strategy. So I don't know. I think that Ricky and the guys there at the number 17 garage are, just kind of waiting for this thing to play out, get the playoffs started, and go on their way. So I know, obviously, if they, perform well tomorrow night, that they'll, help solidify their spot even more in the playoffs and earn some more points. But it's going to be tough for that team starting that high to, stay up in that position all night long, especially with these segments and everything else. But I'm definitely hoping that not too many people play him, because I think I am going to have a little bit of exposure on Stenhouse just because of the fact of his price and where he's starting at.
Oh, dude, his price is amazing. And had he been starting even back with his teammate, I would have instantly played him, right? But
and I think that's one problem, though, with people in the fantasy community is they get so stuck on and so viewed on where they have to think about, okay, well, this guy's only going to have this much place differential. This guy's only going to have this much race differential during the race. you need to look further out than that, because it's all about finishing position. Where are you going to finish at? And your points are based on the finishing position. Now, I know that a lot of people, too, they would get upset when I say, well, I'm going to play Michael McDowell this weekend. He's starting 16th or something like that. Well, that's a swerve play. One, a lot of people aren't going to make that play. But two, if he just finishes where he starts, that's value. That's going to give you value. So I think definitely got to look a little bit more outside the box than just saying, oh, well, he's not going to get enough place differential.
Fair enough. I think that there are better guys that can get you the place differential that don't risk the negative. And that's what I argue most of the times.
Sure.
Is the propensity of that guy to actually hold that position versus other guys to come up from the back. And, I'm a mathematics guy when it comes to probabilities, and I will take the strong side of the probabilities most every time. Unless I'm trying to get cute. And when I try to get cute, I will admit to you guys that I am straight, like, ignoring the numbers or just going with a gut feeling. Like, I admit when I go Liehr Rain Man on my picks. Well, Liehr, before we say our goodbyes and get out of here, let's go ahead and talk about, is there anybody that we left off that we haven't discussed that you are really liking and that you're interested in playing? I'll let you go first, and then I'll follow it up.
Yeah, I definitely think, when you're looking at the top 10, you got Kenseth, Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, Truex, Harvick, Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse, Chase Elliott, and Eric Jones. There are definitely some interesting plays in there. The statistics show that, you're at least going to need 2 dominators here for tomorrow night's race, and the majority of those are going to come out of the top 10. So it's going to be 2 of those guys starting in the top 10 more than likely. I'm swerving this weekend, though, with my Kez play. But basically, if I have to pair anybody, I'm going to be rolling, probably Denny Hamlin, and then, doing somebody else like a Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick's got great history here at Richmond. Martin Truex, the regular season champion. Guys had an unbelievable year this year. I haven't gotten to wear the hat in a long time, but Truex and the guys there at the 78 Garage, congratulations to them on their 2017 season, being the regular season champions. Just unbelievable with 4 wins and 17 stage wins. But he doesn't have the best of history here. So I think a lot of people are going to be on the Martin Truex train just because he has been one of the main guys that you've had to own in your fantasy lineups. But I'm kind of mixed bag on Martin Truex this weekend. So will I have exposure? Yes. Will it be over 60%? I don't know. And then you've got Kyle Larson. Obviously, he's had his best year. You're going to have some exposure on him. But a guy that I really think that could surprise some people, he didn't have the best of weeks last week. Just kind of an average race. But Kyle Busch, don't overlook that dude in 7th. But if you want to go to the teens, again, all over Brad Keselowski. I like the Ryan Blaney play in 14th. Even Jamie Mack has a little bit of value this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take my plays that I was going to tell, since you're just basically listing off everybody. The two guys that I would recommend that we haven't really talked about are Boyer and McMurray. Both actually need a win and or to hold points to get into the playoffs. They're both actually in positions where they can make great place differential plays, and they both have the ability to lead laps here if they can get out front. I think those guys are sneaky plays that nobody's going to be on. They always carry really low ownership percentage, and normally we can't play McMurray or Boyer because they like to overqualify. I think those are kind of swervy plays this week. All right, Liehr, I'll let you get back to it. I just didn't want you to take away my plays before I got to them.
No, I got you, brother. It's all good. It's kind of what happens when you kind of roll through the whole starting lineup here. But other than that, though, you got Danica doesn't meet the Poppa's paradigm this weekend.
Nope.
Too far up for her. Jimmy Johnson, I don't know what the heck's going on with that team.
No,
man.
dude, I want to be able to play Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr., but every time I do, it just lights my lineup on fire.
Right.
So,
and Jimmy Johnson is one of the higher costing drivers. So you got to pick your like that. Mm-hmm. If you pick that guy, you're not going to be able to pick one of the other dominator guys up towards the front.
Not unless you super punt.
Right. And that's going to be tough to do this weekend, especially, again, we're coming to a track where, the ladder of the field goes laps down.
Way down. 400 laps, kiddies. There's lots of laps for people to go down.
But other than that, when it comes down to the lower tier guys, Amarola had a nice finish here in the spring, but he's disappointed me a couple times here lately. So I'm kind of sour on the number 43. But maybe that's something I got to just get over and play him. But Ryan Newman, like I talked about, my value guy. And then you got some other good ones in there, like your Ty Dillon, Austin Dillon. And probably if I have to super pump play, you got to roll with Cole Witt starting 35th, right?
Yep. Landon Castle's also a play down there, well as Reagan. I prefer Castle out of the group, but I don't think you get into a position where you have to make super punts this week. You just don't have to with most lineup constructions that I've put together. With that said, kids, we'll wrap up another week of the Rubbin' His Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR show. Remember, we're giving away that sweet autographed Kevin Harvick diecast. To win it, you're going to need to like, subscribe, share, and comment on the video. Remember, we're doing a special opportunity, so if you donated money to the Hurricane Harvey relief effort, send either Liehr or I a screenshot on Twitter, and we'll give you a second entry in the raffle to get that Kevin Harvick autographed diecast. And remember, in case you didn't donate last week, we're going to put the link right below the video so you can have a chance to donate this week. Thanks, guys, for participating and raising money for the Hurricane Harvey relief victims. You guys made us really proud. We were really happy to see so many of you guys comment about how you were donating money and how you guys wanted to step up and help out. That warmed our hearts, and we wanted to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of watching our show and for donating to a good cause. Liehr, say your goodbyes and get us out of here, bud.
3 years doing this show. We started from the inception of Daily Fantasy NASCAR on DraftKings, and that was our highest viewed show to date at over 1,400 views. So definitely thank you guys for the views. We appreciate it. Keep it going. But also, like Poppa said, get your name in there, comment, share, like. It's pretty sweet. Autograph, Harvick car. And we got the proof that it is signed. So, but we definitely appreciate it, guys. And best of luck this weekend on your NFL kickoffs, especially if you're also playing DraftKings NFL. Best of luck to you there. But we'll see what happens. But I think there may be a little bit of overlay this weekend in fantasy NASCAR. So too many people playing football and jumping off the NASCAR train. So more luck my way.
Yeah, it will be interesting. It depends on if people have reserved entries and have tied up their money in NFL. If that's the case, there might be some overlay in NASCAR and might be something to take advantage of. Good luck, kids. Thanks again for tuning in as always. Peace out. Let's win some money this week. Let's get it done. Bye,
Saturday
y'all.
night racing, baby. Nothing like it. Have a great weekend.